think from this point forward, we will always include Tessa and Tessa in our platform as corporate event planners, because it seems like from leaders learning how to work together and bringing out the best in themselves and each other, to the attendees learning how to manage their day-to-day life, it is a gift. It's an asset that needs to be talked about.
Next thing is just a quick heart opener. We're going to be talking about some personal development stuff here. So I want us to have an open heart for this segment. So just open up your arms like goalposts and lift your chest and heart to the sky. Just take a couple of big deep breaths in and out through your nose. And release. Go ahead and have a seat. Thank you, guys. So this is my absolute favorite thing to talk about. This is the personal development piece. This is what I call the top 5 things to help you live your life to your fullest potential. And the reason why I got to this place is because for many, many, many years I sabotaged myself to death. I became an expert at that, and now I believe that I've found a way to live my life to my fullest potential, and I love to share that with other people. So emotional intelligence. When you guys hear emotional intelligence, I'm sure a lot of different things come to mind. It's not that we're sitting around crying at our desk. That's not what I mean. Sometimes it is hard to control our emotions at certain times, especially in what you guys do. But what I mean about emotional intelligence is how to manage ourselves when we're under pressure or when we get triggered. There's also things about emotional intelligence like the way that we come across to other people and just being self-aware. And when we find that perfect balance for ourselves, it makes us find more joy, happiness, success than we knew possible. We're not looking for 33.333% here. That may not ever happen, but sometimes it's that one category happens really naturally for us and then the other two don't. And so we might need to bring some other things in those areas. So when we get a little bit triggered, we lose 25% of our working memory. When we get really triggered, we lose 75% of our working memory. So that means that's those moments when someone comes up to you and says something, or you're in a meeting and someone says something that triggers you, and you shut down and you don't have the right words to say. That's what's happening. Are you remembering to have gratitude? Are you catching yourself when you're doing something that's not working and changing it and doing something differently? That's the mental category. So what do you love to do? I work with a lot of coaching clients, and I cannot believe how many people have no idea what they love to do anymore. And a lot of it has to do with us having families and careers or whatever it is that takes our focus away, and we have completely forgotten what we love to do. Examples of that could be, some of mine, obviously, yoga is one of them, going to the beach is one of them, hearing my dad laugh. Completely random, just talking to people, having deep conversations. That's a huge, huge one for me. So just spend a moment here and think about what you love to do. And when we get triggered, it takes 18 minutes for us to get back on track. So that means when you get triggered, if you had the ability to take a break and take 18 minutes off, that would be really good. That's not always the case. So this is a process that you can use when you need to get back on track really quickly and you don't have the luxury of taking a break. Sometimes those are your natural gifts that you are very good at. Deep conversations, I also coach people, so that's a gift that I have. Somebody once said, yeah, but I put playing tennis with my husband and we're terrible. And I said, yeah, but it doesn't mean that there's not something else about that of even that quality time that you guys have together. But doing things that we love gives us that happy drug again, endorphins, and it can even decrease disease. It's so important for us to take time for us and do those things. It's not selfish to take that time. It's good for everybody involved. When we take a deep breath, it sends signals to our brain that everything is okay. So when you just stop and take a huge breath, you're already doing yourself a huge favor. Our brain cannot process gratitude and fear at the same time, which is really incredible. So even though you might think, I'm not in fear, I'm triggered, fear is underlying whether we realize it or not when we're triggered. Maybe you could even make a commitment to yourself of what can you do next month? What could you do in the next week off of that list, and maybe put it in that schedule sculpting that you guys are going to be working on. I can't necessarily go to the beach once a month. I definitely want to go once a year, even sometimes that's hard. but more than likely I can schedule a deep conversation with someone.
Oh, cute. You can leave it on the table. Thank you. So you see how much fun it is to talk about gratitude moments and how uplifting it is and just how the room changes. Gratitude is a beautiful thing, and how cool to know that we can't process gratitude and fear at the same time. So anytime you get to that place, going to gratitude is a beautiful tool to have in your toolbox. Sitting is the new smoking. We're dying at our desk. I'm sure you guys have heard that. There's countless articles, Time, Harvard, NBC, you name it, it's all over the place.
The way Tessa presents herself on stage is beyond any that I've seen, in that she has so much grace, and even just her tone of voice makes everybody feel safe and at home. I think it allows for people to open up and engage, and really for no one to feel like there's judgment in the room at all. So for us, that was just as important as the topics at hand.
And this is where authenticity and vulnerability come across too, and you have an option to be that with someone when you ask for that, and then it can encourage them to be the same. So take Tara, for example. Tara has characteristics that make her a great leader. More than likely, it's not that she has technical skills and that she's smart. It's not technical skills and IQ, more than likely. She may be those things, and she is, but it's the other things that Frederick and Hendrik were talking about the other night. All those qualities that they listed, inspiring, all the things that she is, that's the emotional intelligence qualities, and those are the most important, and that is what makes us great leaders. And so we need to know what our strengths are and also where we can possibly grow. When I did this, I've done it twice, and one time I did it and I found out that I was a total control freak, and not in a setting of, I'm telling you guys what to do during this time on these breaks and stuff. I actually don't love that part of it. But the controlness was, I didn't even realize it, but I thought there was only one way of doing things, and then I found out there's a million ways, and everybody has a different way of doing stuff. So if it wasn't my way, I thought it was wrong. And I also found out that I was a perfectionist. I had a girlfriend say, sometimes I just think that whatever I do is not going to be good enough for you, so I just think, why bother? And that was heartbreaking to me, because I had no idea that that's the way I was coming across to people, because I held these super high expectations and people felt like they couldn't live up to it. So it's just amazing to get feedback from other people.
Or you get a call from somebody and they're talking about something that's going on, stress. Maybe you're on the phone for an hour, but you can see how easy it is for us to get distracted versus staying on our task. And then the scary thing is, for all that time that we sit, we increase our risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, depression, so many illnesses by 60 to 125%, depending on how much time that we sit. So what is the answer? It is to take breaks. A lot of studies say every 30 minutes. Most studies say once every hour, so I go with every hour because I think it's more achievable. So whether that be doing breathing, stretching exercise, just something to get up and moving. But now I can, and I can actually talk about it, and it's such a freeing thing. I'm not saying we all need to get up and tell our story, but you don't know what's going on to the person next to you. You don't know what's going on in anybody's life. And it gave me a compassion for people, and I will never judge anybody, no matter what they say, because we all do crap, and we all have a history, and we all have a story. So if you're holding on to any resentment of anything towards yourself, anything towards anybody else, it is disease that you're carrying on inside of you. So a lot of people think it's good that it's like getting back at somebody else if you don't forgive them, but in reality, it's just hurting yourself. And you think that, these things aren't impacting you, but it's what's underneath that it is, because if we have those feelings underneath, it actually is impacting your job as well when you have that angst and that anger and that stuff that you're holding up inside of you, and it just causes a lot of problems. So ironically, after I did a lot of coaching work, my coach in that same room years later said that I was the definition of integrity, which I couldn't have gotten a better compliment, because I was the exact opposite of that before. And I say that because we absolutely can change, but it doesn't mean that you're out to go change other people, because other people aren't going to change unless they want to. And it's really, quite frankly, none of our business about what other people are doing. It's only about us and what we can do. When you think about other things and you hear sounds that distract you, because it happens every second, you just go right back to your breath. And meditation is the number one thing to relieve anxiety. So I encourage you guys, just over the next couple of days, if you catch yourself kind of tense, just breathe. You guys may not even realize, or maybe you do, but you might be really tense or have been a little worried about this meeting, or you don't know what's next, what's coming up, I have no idea, is Tara mad at me? Who knows what's going on? But things are going on and we're tensed up, so just take deep breaths. It helps there's so many health benefits to it, and it helps increase our productivity and creativity, lowers blood pressure, lowers anxiety, and stops that chatter in our minds from happening too. So what scares you, but fear is holding you back? I'm not talking like jumping out of an airplane type of thing, but just something that you know that you wanted to do. Not first time I spoke, but one of the first times that I spoke, it was in front of the most intimidating audience it could possibly be, because it was a group of speaker bureau reps, and that's what I used to do, and we've seen it all. We've seen the celebrities, we've seen the speakers, and I knew I couldn't probably impress them, but not only that, I was so nervous and making it all about me that I got up on stage and I froze. And I still to this day have no idea how long I froze, and I almost walked off the stage. And it was the most terrifying moment of my life, and I somehow recovered. But you know what? I did it, and it'll never happen again. Somebody asked me last night, do you ever get scared and before you get on stage? And I said, absolutely. But I stand over there and I take deep breaths. But now I look out and go, this isn't the Tessa show, because that's not what I'm doing it for in the first place. I'm doing it to help people. I look out and go, if I can help one person out here, then that's what I've done, and that's good. Stress, unfortunately, is the cause of 60% of all diseases. 3 out of 4 doctor visits are due to stress. So what can we do to help prevent that? Exercise. We all know that. There's lots of forms of exercise. You can run, you can walk, you can do yoga. The first step is to rewire your brain by catching yourself and going, I need a reset, which is the biggest thing. And then to ease your mind with a breath. So we talked about that, how when you take a deep breath, it tells your brain that everything is okay. And then setting an intention. So if there's something, I know I work on stuff and I'm like, I don't even want to go there, so I put it off till the end of the day. And it's really actually better for us to do those things that we don't want to do as quick as possible to get it over with, plus then we can feel really accomplished. So what if you set an intention for what you're getting ready to do? Life will not end if you guys take a break. It is so important. You guys are so important. Everybody needs it for yourselves, for, like I said, family, and for the people that you're serving. And also, I just encourage you to look at being present. My husband busted me recently. We were driving around in the car, or maybe he said it later, but he said, very lovingly, he said, when we're driving sometimes, he said, you're texting or you're emailing or you're on the phone and, not with him. And I honestly looked at it. If he was driving, that was my office. Like, I'm in the side and I can catch up on the way to dinner or whatever. I knew I didn't do it while we were at dinner, but he saw that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so right. Like, we could be talking about our day. We could already be having a conversation. Wait, I didn't hear you say it again.
The Salesforce data entry stuff. I do it all. I do it all. However, check my records. I should have won 100%.
I don't literally mean, hey, let's pull up an Excel spreadsheet and type something in a square and then, woo, let's go take a break. So I'm not saying do this all day long constantly, but this is more like that hour type of thing, or when you're working on something for a little bit, or you've already been working for a long time and you need to take a break, then come back, but then maybe set an intention for the next task that you're doing. So then take a reset break. That's things like what we've been doing, or just walking around the house, or you're driving, get up, get out, get yourself coffee, get back in the car, whatever it is, reward yourself with something for getting that job done.
It has really helped me to calm down and start my day in a really positive way, because I think all of us, because we work from home, you're constantly checking your email. You're constantly checking messages. So it really helped me to start my day like that, because it just sets a positive way to start working.
Yeah, because what happens when you open your email first thing?
You're stressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Love, love, love it.
And tell yourself that that's okay, to be able to take that time to do that.
Because you are more effective.
Right.
Because if you sit
exactly.
there, we're not built to work for hours and hours and hours and hours and not take a break, because then we're working slower, because we're so exhausted that we can't even function anymore. So beautiful. You guys made some big decisions yesterday when you let go of stuff. So that was an awesome start. And now we're going to do a different type of decision. But
that was the stuff that's not serving us. So we have all made decisions that have gotten us to where we are now.
It's becoming apparent how important personal development is for leaders and, all the employees alike. I think the CEOs down are starting to understand that when you invest in a person, they're going to better invest into the final product, therefore it's going to increase ROI. So having someone come in and at least touch on the topic of personal development and then follow through with tools is invaluable.
Well, those are the top 5 things that I believe that gets us to our fullest potential. And each one of those things fit in one of those categories, or maybe both or all. I believe that finding our triessence is our purpose, or that when we find our own personal triessence, that we feel that we are living out our own purpose. I'm not really worried about you guys feeling like you have a purpose. I hope you realize the difference that you are making every single day, because I believe that you guys are already living out your greatness. What could be more important than literally you guys giving a voice to someone every time that you are serving someone?
Just encourage you to jot down things that you want to incorporate, because sometimes it's hard, and like Tara said, you're going to have to plan your own stuff, and you're going to have to come up with what you're going to incorporate and not incorporate, because you can't necessarily go back and do it all at the same time, which would be great if we could, but we're going to have you pick some of those key things.
From the bottom of my heart, it was such an honor to be here with you guys. Thank you so, so, so much.
It's a little hard to go on after that, don't you think?
Having Tessa at our annual conference was such a gift. There were so many people that were changed, and I guarantee nobody left that room unchanged. There were grown men leaving crying. Our client was above the moon on what this brought out and what kind of investment it showed that the company was putting into their people. Personal development coach and speaker on our team is really elevating our game as corporate event planners. I think number one, it brings harmony to the entire event that we're putting on. And number two, it elevates us in terms of our client and how they perceive us. And at the end of the day, it affects every attendee.